Hey, welcome to Half the Battle.
And welcome back to Main Character May, where we're still talking about Storm Shadow.
And today we're going to be talking about the character. Yeah, we'll get to the file card, but first, let's talk about the man who wrote them and the comics.
Larry Hama, the creative father of G.I.Joe, loves two things: military stories and ninjas. And boy, must it have seemed to him that all his Christmases came at once when Hasbro showed him the prototype or concept art of what would become the Storm Shadow figure.
So, let's see what he wrote for the first file card.
Cobra Ninja, codename Storm Shadow. Primary specialty, assassin. Secondary specialty, intelligence. Birthplace, classified.
What's interesting here is what isn't on the card.
There's no file name, not even file name unknown or file name classified. Like Larry didn't even want to go there yet. His birthplace is classified, and you'd be forgiven for thinking, oh, well, that's easy, it's Japan, right? But we'll later learn he's a Japanese American
Okay, that's kinda complicated.
The main text says he's from a family that's 30 generations of assassins.
Okay, let's get this one out of the way.
Yes, ninjas were real, they did exist, and were exclusive to Japan. But their main role was being spies. There may have been some assassinating going on, but history didn't really record any of that.
That could mean that they were really good assassins that never got caught, but I think that's a bit of a stretch.
Also, they wouldn't dress like what we think of ninjas today. As spies, they dress like ordinary people, to, not stand out. One thing they did get right is the color scheme. In the West, you have stuff like cowboy movies where the good guys wear white hats and the bad guys wear black hats. In Japan, however, white is considered bad because it's the color that represents death. So having Storm Shadow be in a white outfit makes sense. Unlike most ninja movies made in America, where they had bad ninjas all in black.
Okay, that was a bit of a digression. Let's get back to the file card.
He's very fast, can endure extreme pain, and can scale walls with his bare hands and feet. He's also an expert in all weapons the figure came with, including those molded throwing stars on his torso. He's also an 8th degree black belt in 5 martial arts. The second paragraph says the great ninja clans disappeared 100 years ago. Nobody took credit for wiping them out, so if they still exist, who are they working for? Okay, so that, and Storm Shadow being a part of Cobra, implies they all work for Cobra now.
But the comic later pretty much contradicts that.
The file card of version 2 has to explain a lot in what little space there is because, Storm Shadow switched sides. Well, he's got a classified file name now, and his specialty is now covert operations. So I guess he gave up the whole assassin thing? This also makes him line up a little bit better with what the actual ninjas did. The card starts explaining Stormy and Snake Eyes served together in Southeast Asia, aka Vietnam, and they later both studied with Storm Shadow's family. The card then lifts a bit from the comic, saying the murder of his uncle unhinged him and led him to join Cobra to seek revenge and find the killer. He found vengeance a poor substitute for life and left Cobra to then go live in the mountains. But Snake Eyes can call on him for the occasional special mission.
So I guess he's not really a Joe then, just a freelancer of sorts?
Also, don't think I didn't notice that subtle plug for the G.I.Joe Special Missions comic book series. The second paragraph explains what ninjas are, somewhat rectifying the assassin thing from the first card, saying they are mystic swordsmen, spies, assassins, acrobats, quick change artists, and conjurers.
Which I guess is a little more historically accurate.
The Ninja Force file card reveals a whole bunch of new information about Stormy. First, and most importantly, we learn that his real name is Tommy S. Arashikage. And fun fact, Arashikage translates from Japanese as Storm Shadow. So the codename he chose is just his last name translated. That's some Ben Kenobi level of subterfuge there. And he seems to have signed up with the Joes full time now, as his rank is E8 or First Sergeant. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri. His specialties have expanded and now include being a martial arts instructor in addition to covert operations. He also has a motto now: train hard, fight easy.
The text of the card basically lists his resume.
He used to be Army Long Range Recon Patrol. That's true. A Cobra Viper. That's not true. He was the Cobra Ninja. Did they confuse him with Mercer or something? And he was sword brother to Snake Eyes.
Sure, why not?
He was also the last Grand Master of his ninja clan. Which,
No he wasn't, or at least I don't think so.
And now he's the leader of Ninja Force, who he trains in various techniques. And in a sort of non sequitur, he's also the driver of the Patriot, which I'm sure they only added in because that thing didn't come with a driver. In the last section, the card hints at things to come, stating his uniform has special chameleon camouflage.
That brings us to the Shadow Ninja card.
And it doesn't really add anything, just saying he's got Inviso power now.
Lame.
And he has a new motto: I can fight like a ghost with the power of a ninja.
Sure, whatever.
The 1997 card just tells you his storyline from the comics, so there's no need to get into it here. The 2001 copies the first one with a little less information on it, and doesn't explain why he's Cobra again. Well, it was from the collector's edition line.
So I guess that's why?
2002 saw the full G.I.Joe vs. Cobra relaunch though, and Stormy was with Cobra again, so there needed to be an explanation.
And there was, kind of.
The card states some members of his clan joined Cobra, splitting the family in two. When his uncle was killed, he joined Cobra to find the killer, but ended up leaving Cobra not soon thereafter.
So far, so familiar.
But then the card says he's now back with Cobra, and the text asks if the whole clan is evil, or if Cobra Commander holds some special power over Stormy.
This is a vague reference to the end of the comic, but that's something we'll discuss later.
There are variations in the file cards from 2002, depending on what version of the figure the card talks about. There's one where he's in a 2-pack with Scarlet that says she's on his trail, and another one where he's in a pack with Snake Eyes that says he's angry with him. The one that came with the Red Store exclusive one is the same as the Snake Eyes one, down to the card art, which has him in his white outfit.
That's really lazy.
All file cards from 2002 have his name and birthplace removed. 2004 adds his name back in and says he sells his services to Cobra to fund his plans for revenge against Snake Eyes. Though the card does say he's a master of deception and wonders if Cobra can trust him. The other 2004 cards copy this one or the Snake Eyes one from 2002. The 2005 cards all copy the 2004 ones, except the mail-in version, which gives his birthplace as San Francisco. And that doesn't make sense because the Ninja Force card from all the way back in 1992 said he was born in Missouri. To confuse things further, the 2006 comic book pack one says he's from Fresno.
I guess they just couldn't decide where the hell he's from.
The modern body construction figures have cards that are mostly just copies of earlier ones. Which ones depends on what figure they homage, version 1 or 2 or the 2004 one. This 2008 one that came with a very Assassin's Creed looking Stormy is different, as he came with a Snake Eyes figure and an exclusive comic. The card makes reference to the comic's story.
At least that's what I think. I haven't read it.
A 2009 card puts his birthplace back at being San Francisco, and some cards point out his hatred of Snake Eyes is because of jealousy. Others say he blames Snake Eyes for the death of his uncle. The Rise of Cobra version just says he's hired by Cobra and Snake Eyes is his enemy.
Short and, well, not really sweet. More short and lazy.
The 30th anniversary one from 2011 is interesting as it gives him a new first name.
Well, sort of.
It's now Tomisaburo, which I guess Tommy could be short for. It's a real Japanese name, so that tracks. But I'm not sure how common it was for Japanese Americans to give their kids Japanese first names instead of English ones. I was gonna point to George Takei having an English first name, but then I looked it up and he was born Hosato Takei, so I just don't know. For what it's worth, later versions refer to him as Thomas or Tomisaburo, depending on the card.
And that's it for the file cards.
He started out mysterious, then more things got explained, and we got a fuller picture of the character. That's just from the original line though. The more modern cards mostly regurgitate things, are carbon copies, or confuse things like his birthplace or why he hates Snake Eyes. Whoa, this took more time than I thought. Next time we'll round things off by taking a look at him in the cartoon and the comics.
That's gonna be another big section, I can tell you that right now. Well, I'll see you next time, everybody, and hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing.